Hello, this is Just Listen, hosted by George. Today is September 23rd, 2024. Welcome to the podcast. I want to continue with policy on the presidential elections. I think that I've gotten some of my subscribers' attention on that. So today I want to talk about the VP debate and the issues still not being discussed. The first one is the VP debate. Why do we need a vice presidential debate? What is the point? Those candidates cannot set the policy. All they can do is repeat what the top tier candidate, meaning Harris and Trump, have actually said before. They are not serving the American people. I can't think of any genuine purpose except one. The streaming media and news agencies, this is a way for them to generate revenue and also to stir up more controversy so that they can write about it. And as you all well know, once a VP is elected, they don't do anything really unless something happens to the president. So, with that being said, again, what's the point? Now, I want to talk about something within this that I think is so important. This weekend I was thinking about this because I look at some of the Sunday morning shows where they are commentating. So they bring in experts, senators, congresspeople, operatives in both parties. And something that they really need to talk about is this notion of the debate. Here's a suggestion. Why don't we have a think tank? We got tons of think tanks in this country of people who are actually experts in economics, foreign policy, education, people like that, and have them generate some questions. And you can also ask for them input from the American public. Now, I have college, high school, have participated in debates. We do not do regular debates where I'm sitting up there debating someone and all of a sudden somebody asks me about a quote that I said 10 or 15 years ago. That's why we need to get rid of the debates in general, not just at the presidential level, because that's what this broadcast is about, but even at the state level. There was a debate between two people running for Senate in Missouri, and it just led to personal attacks. And what's interesting is the top two candidates attacked themselves, and the third person, they were actually trying to stay on policy. So everybody is better served if we actually have the think tank that I'm talking about. They would generate questions, and it wouldn't matter what news agency did the debates. And on top of that, the candidates should be able to talk about the subject. There's no reason for them to prep. They should already know the answers. We have to get away from canned answers and get genuine opinions, both sides. So that's what I think. Now, what issues are we not talking about? The biggest issue that is not being talked about this election cycle, with any other debates, the news agencies don't say anything about it, is values and morality. And you would say, well, that's more for theologians and all of that. Okay, maybe so, but think about it. If we look across the board in every area of life, if we look at gun control, if we look at abortion, if we look at welfare, it comes back to individual people making decisions. And decisions and how we act and behave starts at home and then in the schools. Why can we not have value and morality classes in school to give people the foundation? Now, yes, that's another way for me to say some kind of value system, Christian, whatever religious denomination you are. We can't do that because the courts have already said that you cannot do that. But what we can do is have values and morality. We're never going to get rid of issues with our fellow humans. All we can do is bring the numbers down a little bit. This needs to be talked about because if we could instill values in our young people, again, we're not going to get rid of all of it, but the percentages, I guarantee you, would come down. So when we had values in schools that kids were being taught and nationalism, there was issues, but not to the percentage numbers that we seem to be getting to now. Those are connected. The next one is, and as you guys know, and you can look back at some of my podcasts, I talk about this foreign aid spending. Why is this so important? Like I've said previously, we spend a lot of money abroad and we don't get anything for our money. Now, I'll say it again. I'm not saying pull in foreign aid from all of these countries. I'm talking about that we have to have expectations of these other countries. We can't pump money in there endlessly. And let me differentiate something too. Domestic spending with spending abroad. Last year, as you know, for example, we brought in $3.5 trillion. So if we were only administrating funding for programs in the United States, we would still have money left over. What most of us don't realize is that the American government has business interests, meaning they call it foreign policy. We are paying countries money, lots of it. And like I told you previously, we have pivoted from getting Congress to appropriate the money specifically for that, with the only exceptions being the Ukraine war and the Israeli war. Okay, we've got a lot of things going on, and like I told you previously, we just funded policing in Haiti. The U.S. State Department did that. They used their budget, and what they're going to do next year and moving forward is request more funding through their department and then use the money then. That way, they are bypassing Congress, which I think is very dangerous to do, because we must address the deficit, and we're talking about the deficit a little bit and inflation. All of those things are related, and it goes back to this VP debates where you cannot ask valid questions to how we are going to get that deficit down. Daycare. Daycare, I've talked about a couple of times, and families, stuff like that. We're not talking about the fact that people are spending a significant part of their income for daycare. Why is that important to you? Well, two things. One of the professional parents may not be able to work. If you're paying $2,000 a month for daycare for one child, heck, even if you're paying $700 a week, that will change how you do business with who's working, who's watching your children, because if you're trying to get it cheaper, you might go with a plan that the kid is not getting nurturing during the day. But here's the biggest problem with it. We need to change the definition of who's in the middle class and who are the working poor. Why is that important? If you go across the board, we are funding programs to help families. Both sides have great intentions. The problem and the issue still is when both parents are working hard, we tell them, well, hey, you're going to have to figure out how to pay it, right? So, unwed mothers, if they can't work because they have children at home, or they are trying like hell to work, which is commendable, they get the bulk of the money. It should be for working middle class families. That's why I said that we need to change how we are defining who's in this middle class. Because even if both people are making $80,000 a piece, still, if you're paying between $1,000 to $1,500 a month for daycare, okay, you are really asking that family to cut back on groceries, cut back on car insurance. They're not going to be able to buy a house, so it's a domino effect. These are the types of issues that we need to be talking about during these debates. They've got to cut out coming after candidates if they don't like them. And that's true. If you watch any of the debates, you can go back 10 years and it's been the same way. We need to talk to Americans during those debates and know what each candidate stands for. Let me know what you think. And also, all of us should be getting ready to vote here in a week or two because early voting is starting. This is Just Listen, hosted by George. Let me know what you think.